Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9.
Today is Wednesday, 31st day of August 2022. Wednesday, 31 August 2022. This is Power Corridor on Law 103.9 FM. We thank you for keeping a date with us again. Our Nigerian proverb for today is, only the thing for which you have struggled will last. Only the thing for which you have struggled, the Yoruba proverb says, will last. There will not be any summary analysis of newspaper headlines today because this episode is pre-recorded. This episode, may I repeat, is pre-recorded. We may not have the opportunity to call in live or engage on social media platforms live with this episode. I'll be back for a live session on Friday. As you listen to this program, I am in Abuja, some nautical miles away from where you listen terrestrially in Lagos. We now do a conventional history reading before we formally introduce our guest. Today's historical reading revolves around an heroine or a heroine of the Nigerian political terrain, Margaret Ikpo. Margaret Ikpo was born in Creektown, Cross River State, to the family of Okoroafo or Biasulo, who was originally from Aguluzigbo, a rural town in Anocha local government area of Anambra State, and Inyang Eyo Animikwe. Through her mother, she was a member of the royal family of the King Eyo Honesty II of Creektown. She reached Standard 6 of the school leaving certificate in 1934. However, her goals for further education in teachers' training were put on hold after the death of her father in 1934. She then started working as a pupil teacher in elementary schools. She married a doctor, John Udo Ekpo, in 1938. He was from the Ibibio ethnic group. While she was of Igbo and Efik heritage, the couple later moved to Aba. In 1946, she had the opportunity to study abroad at what is now Dublin Institute of Technology, Dublin, Ireland. She earned a diploma in domestic science, and on her return to Nigeria, she established a domestic science and sewing institute in Aba. Margaret Ikpo's first direct participation in political ideas and association was in 1945. Her husband was indignant with the colonial administrator's treatment of indigenous Nigerian doctors, but as a civil servant, he could not attend meetings to discuss the matter. Margaret Ikpo then attended meetings in place of her husband. The meetings were organized to discuss the discriminatory practices of the colonial administration in the city and to fight cultural and racial imbalance. In administrative promotions, she later attended a political rally and was the only woman at the rally, which saw fiery speeches from Mbonu Ojike, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Abat Macaulay. By the end of the decade, she had organized a market women association in Aba to unionize market women in the city. She used the association to promote women's solidarity as a platform to fight for the economic rights of women, economic protections and expansionary political rights of women. Ekpo's political career ended in the commencement of the Nigerian Civil War. At that time, she was detained by Biafran authorities for 3 years in prison with adequate feeding. Margaret Ekpo's awareness of growing movements for civil rights for women around the world prodded her into demanding the same for the women in her country and to fight the discriminatory and oppressive political and civil role colonialism played in the subjugation of women. She felt that women abroad, including those in Britain, were already fighting for civil rights. Margaret Ekpo won a seat to the Eastern Regional House of Assembly in 1961, a position that allowed her to fight for issues affecting women at the time. In particular, there were issues on the progress of women in economic and political matters, especially in the areas of transportation around major roads leading to markets and rural transportation in general. After a military coup ended the First Republic, she took a less prominent approach to politics. In 2001, Calabar Airport was renamed Margaret Ekpo International Airport. She died 5 years later in 2006. We go on a short commercial and introduce our guest afterwards.
They say that knowledge is power. But here, knowledge of the law and your rights is true power.
So you see that from recent happenings, we've seen that people have started, to fight for their rights.
As far back as 2000.
When you listen to this station, you learn about your rights. You discover the law in ways you never imagined. You know why? Because we broadcast in your interest.
It's a problem that we are all experiencing in the country. Different parts of the country, the same thing is happening. So who do we call on to? Who do we hold responsible?
We impact knowledge.
If the grid is unable to shed the load that it ought to, it could also result in the collapse of the national grid.
Call it what you may, but we are here to stay. The law was never biased, so why should it be now? To every individual, we are Law FM 103.9.
There are no regional electricity boards.
The people.
I think I would prefer to be called the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I do not have anything against our president. I think he's one of the greatest Nigerians that ever lived. And I think that's just it.
The issues.
The African students trapped in Ukraine, they've been barred from crossing borders to neighboring countries.
The political scene is open to interpretation, a path to possible choices. But where are we headed in this political corridor?
Nigeria suffered from a state of economic radiculopathy, social sciatica, and political dystopia.
Open these doors on Power Corridor with Bola Oba every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. to discuss political trends as they happen.
Law FM 103.9. Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9.
Our guest today is a consummate public communication strategist, a former commissioner for information and strategy, Lagos State, and the director strategic communication for the Tinubu Shettima presidential campaign. Mr. Dele Alake. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
One wonders how you could be holding this much of a strategic office whilst it does seem that you are not unsure, literally in Nigeria.
But you know, it's a global village now. Technology has made the whole world to shrink. So you can be anywhere in the world and do your work conveniently. You can have Zoom meetings, you can have Zoom interviews, you can have conferencing, teleconferencing meetings, board meetings, management meetings, whatever. There's practically nothing you can't do now from any part of the world. So thanks to technology, it's really remarkable and interesting. So there's no problem at all.
And I guess you want me to also insinuate that the presidency of your principals, if they were to be elected by the Nigerian electorate, may also want to leverage such a wonderful infrastructure to enrich their governance. Am I being presumptive now?
No, you are absolutely right, because that is actually part of the essence of government, to deliver the goods and services to the people and make life more abundantly pleasant and better for the greatest good of the greatest number of our people. That is the essence of government. That has always been Tinubu's political philosophy, right from 1991, when he contested for the Senate. That was his first foray into active politics. Before then, in the background, he had been funding, channeling money into political causes and all that. Recall, I don't know how many the youths of nowadays, many of them are not around or too young to know, or even some of the adults have what I call selective amnesia, to know that in those days of the prime rules, in Lagos, headed by Sarumi, Chief Dr. Sarumi, and all that, Tinubu was part of that political movement and was channeling funds, his own personal funds. So when people talk these days that, Tinubu made his money from politics, from government, I laugh because of their abysmal ignorance. This was somebody who had been funding political causes and movements long, even when he was immobile as a corporate executive, long before he himself got into active politics, long before he became a governor. He was one of those financiers of Nadeco, both local and abroad, years before he got into office as a governor. So, and this has, like I said, the ground norm of his political philosophy is how to use public office to deliver service.
In view of the historical facts that you have well articulated regarding the fact that Tinubu as a man has come into reasonable wealth before assuming gubernatorial office, or indeed before he was elected even as senator in 1993, in view of that, and that he was a chieftain of one of the major blue chip companies in Nigeria, Mobile, how would you then respond to the fact that some people out there are of the opinion that he has one or two issues to answer to regarding some monies that were seized from him by the United States government that he did not contest? Why would somebody who made his money legitimately refuse to contest the fact that a government of a liberal democracy, seemingly rule of law respecting democracy, would want to fight fair or just take his money like that, and he didn't quite litigate against that?
Again, that notion is one, deliberate by people who know the dynamics of financing and financial situations in the U.S. And then two, by ignorance those, ignorance to those who did not and still do not know the dynamics of financial situations in the US. Now, for whatever reason, all over the world, the notion of justice is that you are assumed innocent until proven guilty. That is the ground norm of the Nigerian judicial system in Africa, in many parts of
Similarly,
the world.
in United States of America, where common law too is practiced, one is presumed innocent until...
I'm still on. Now, even in the United States of America, it is also the ground norm that you are assumed to be innocent until proven guilty. However, in matters pertaining to taxes, finances, financial investigations by the IRS or any government agency, you are assumed to be guilty until you are proven innocent. That is the difference. On all other matters, you are assumed to be innocent until proven guilty. But on tax matters, on finance matters, and all of that, because the US system thrives on the efficiency and the aggressiveness of the tax drive and revenue drive. That's what keeps the economy going. So any issue pertaining to finance or taxes, you are assumed to be guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And proving yourself, excuse me, I'm still on. And proving yourself innocent is a long, winding process with costs associated to lawyers, to probably logistics and stuff like that, to prove yourself innocent. That was what happened in the case that you are referring to, where some of his money was seized as having to come and prove how he got the money. He was immobile in Nigeria. He wasn't even in the US at the time. And he was treasury, he was the treasurer for Mobile. And in any case, his mother, as he explained, the late Alaja, who was a prime top-class businesswoman, the head of all the market associations in Lagos, if not Nigeria at the time, also kept money with him. His wife also kept money with him. He explained how the money came about, but the US system, having had eyes on it, and having reasons to believe that, there were some people that they had been investigating before that were linked to be friends with him. So automatically, they would believe the word, and that was how the money was seized until he had to prove himself. And he contested it. He contested it. And because he was in Nigeria, and after being advised by the lawyer that for him to go the whole hog, at the end of the day, what the cost of litigation to him would also render the money negligible at the end of the day. So there is what you call this plea bargaining system. Let the tax people take part of it, and then you can recover substantial part of your money. Otherwise, you will lose everything on litigation, on trying to prove your innocence. And he opted because he wasn't given US anyway. So he would have to be coming and shortly coming and going, and he was working. So he took the better option, the most expedient to him at that time. And let me also tell you, you and I, because of our exposure internationally and to the US judicial system, if in fact Tinubu was involved or was guilty, as people are banding all over the place, as they are peddling all over the place, do you seriously think he will be able to be coming and going to the US as if anybody goes to toilet and having the arrested for once? I personally have been to the US within more than 20 times. And each time, there's no problem. We land, we go through the immigration, customs, and all that, and we come out and all. Do you think with this US system,
I was just wondering,
allow anybody that they are judged guilty to be coming and be going without harassment?
I was just thinking.
Oh, let's borrow ourselves some sense, man.
I was just thinking that there may not be any prima facie conviction against him in the US, but if you and I were to swap places now and I was playing your role, I know, given your antecedents in journalism, I know how much you would have roasted me for wanting to just walk away after giving the seemingly, ostensibly logical excuses and explanations you've given. If you were to be, a strategist in the Atiku camp, would you take this at face value? Would you not be, would you not be rolling the dagger just to make a scene that it was probably because he knew the money was dirty money, the money was seized because it was drug money that was being laundered, and he did not put up any form of vibrant or robust legal litigation, especially because he knew some characters had been convicted on drug matters related to the money.
I just told you that, look, I am not an article.
I was just using a hypothetical distance.
I say I do not think peripherally like them. I am a social scientist. I have 2 degrees in social science. I'm a trained journalist. I'm a professional communicator. I'm not a happenstance in this profession. I'm not an accidental discharge in this profession. So I do not take hook, line, and sinker, insinuations, innuendos, rumors, dear parlor assertion. I do not take them. Okay. I subject everything.
I think it's about time we moved from that point to something.
I listen to you. You have to listen to me when you ask me questions, please.
You made the point,
So
we are time.
okay. So you must listen to my own answers as well.
Okay then, okay. Go ahead.
I do not take from face value anything that I'm giving, especially all those rumors and insinuations and hate, prejudices and biases. I subject everything to critical analysis. So if I were in the Atiku camp, I would not make any mountain out of a molehill after I would have subjected this issue to critical analysis. And one of the analysis I did tell you is that the US that I know, the US system that I know, I've been familiar with the US system over 45 years, and I know it inside out. There is no way, if you have any slightest inclination of being guilty of whatever you are accused of in the US, you will not get away scot. Whether you did play bargaining or not, you will be on record. And anytime you want to come to the US, especially with allegations as weighty as you are making it to be, the US will not allow you. They will not.
Okay.
So therefore, this man has been allowed in and out.
That is factually right.
Every time.
That is factually.
And there's nothing.
How
can you now come and be making a mountain just pandering to the wheels and caprices of his haters?
No,
those who are biased, of those who envy him, because of his attainment, because of the political height that he has attained that they could not and can never, because they do not have his own mental wherewithal. They do not have his capacity, administrative competence, managerial ability, ambition, and knowledge, and courage. They don't have his own. They envy convictions and all of that. What are you talking about? If you want to come to equity, you come with clean hands. Some of the people that are shouting the most with to the highest decibel.
So you
ex-convict. What do you want to say about that? What about Bode George? That is shouting about Tinubu every day. He's an ex-convict. And
you have to take that back because the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
So you have to subject this thing.
Hello. You know the Supreme Court of Nigeria has absolved Bode George of the original conviction, and you cannot use the
on technical grounds.
But you can no longer use the phraseology ex-convict to describe Bode George. So for the benefit of the students,
the late Chief Shoneko, when he was head of the interim government after Babangida stepped aside in 1993. If you were aware of what happened, the late Chief Shoneko's government, he was challenged in court, and the late Justice Dolapo Akinsoya counsel in fact declared his regime illegal and declared Chief Shoneko illegal as the head of state. But you and I knew that throughout Chief Shoneko's life, after that event, he was referred to as head of state. He attended head of state, council of state meeting. So how are you going to in spite of the fact that the court declared him illegal? The fact is that means the court could not erase the period that Shoneko was in office. It's not erasable. So the period that Bode George was in prison is not erasable.
As somebody that I respect so much in this profession or vocation, you know that is an overstretched intellectual.
How? My dear brother, how is it overstretched?
You know that in so much as I know that the Bode George Tinubu issue in Lagos is akin to what happened between Enrica and Herbert Macaulay. That vitriol. But having said that,
I disagree with you.
I'm coming. Let me finish, please. Let me finish. You will disagree better.
Are quite different.
I'm coming. Let me finish so that.
Enrica and Macaulay's situation were quite different. And Bode George and Tinubu were not competing. Bode George has never been governorship candidate in Lagos. He did not contest against Tinubu. It was his party that contested against Tinubu and lost. And he has been losing consistently.
You are right. You are factually right, but interpretationally, listen. You are factually right, but interpretationally, for the sake of students of, say, government or politics listening to us, or because this is Law FM, Law 103.9 FM, some things must be said the way they stand in law. In law today, in the face of the law today, Chief Olabode George stands as though he has never been convicted because of the absolution of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Do we agree on that?
I did not say you are wrong there. You cited the example of his absorption by the Supreme Court, and I cited the example.
Okay, we now agree.
Who was declared illegal and still was referred to, and still today still referred to as the interim head of state of Nigeria.
On that agreement, let's then move on. We now agree, Ebo.
What I am telling you in essence what I'm saying in essence is that there is the spirit of the law. There is the moral of the law. There is the nuance of the law.
And so there's the test, and there's the test of the law. And so you would rather sit on
the real legalism that you are talking about. Yes, but the judge was declared was absorbed by the Supreme Court. But in the court of moral public opinion, he was in jail and in chronological order of life.
But
writing his memoirs, where will he say he was?
My distinguished brother, and senior practitioner, the same moral, the same public opinion was what got you somewhat excited when I alluded to the fact that some people, in their opinion, however warped it may seem and inconsistent with good judgment as the law prevails in America, some people also see your principal as somebody with a shady past, bordering on some. But we should move past that now. Let's go to another.
No. We should clear it because there is a difference. Somebody was cleared guilty of fraud and all that. And
you are right about that.
Went to the jail and wore the uniform for 2 years. It's different from somebody who was accused, and at the end of the day, there was no conviction.
But there was a seizure. But there was a seizure.
The caprices of the Tinubu haters.
Oh yes. Okay. Let's move to another topic now. Let's move to another issue. The Nigerian Bar Association held its convention recently. All the major presidential candidates were there. It was only your principal that sent his assistant or vice presidential candidate. How come your principal, who is quite a fantastic communicator when he wants to be, indeed, who in recent times, out of holy hunger, has enriched our political vocabulary, how come he avoided the opportunity of using such a powerful platform, leveraging that kind of platform?
I am surprised, Bola. I am actually surprised, as the respected, experienced journalist yourself that you are asking, except that you just want to afford me the opportunity to be able to clear the air of.
That is exactly what I want to do. That is exactly what I intend to do. Please do.
To that extent, now let me now tell you, you as a person, as a media person, and who is assumedly aware of happening current affairs, especially in this city, you will recall that the very day they were having that meeting, that's the NDA. Yes, Ashiwaju was not there. But do you recall what happened a day or two after the news that came out? That they were having a meeting with Wike in London.
Yes. Chronologically, now you are putting it in context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what happened. That's what. And don't forget, in this game, it's a game of numbers. Election is a game of numbers. Now, the NBA having their conference, what did they want? They wanted to ask the contestants, the candidates, some questions about their plans and projects and stuff like that, policies for the country. Fine. Now, here, those questions and by the NBA and even that forum was projected, was to anchor on whoever will win the election. But the elections haven't held. So Ashiwaju sent his number 2 to go and present the case of the ticket there. And he went for a very higher cost of ensuring that they even make political arrangements and go through the dynamics to be able to win have an issue, because you have to win
before you can articulate any policy.
Whatever ideas. So he went for that which was critical and crucial at that moment. Because if he was able to get Wike on his side, you and I know what that means to PDP and Atiku and to the rest of all the other opponents. So he had to go and do that because he's a very, very adept, efficient.
Would you then take it from me? Would you then take it from me that in the backdrop of this seemingly convincing explanation, that that his communication team may have dropped the ball a little bit by not letting majority of Nigerians who have been sold the somewhat the mischief, who have been sold the mischief, that he probably chickened out or that he was sick. And you see, if I had not asked you this question, which got you a bit exasperated initially, but with the logical answer you have given me now, it's seeming that your team, the communications team, may have dropped the ball somewhat.
No, not at all. It's because you people are,
Egbo, you are calling me you people?
You people that is in a generic form, that you people that the people that have given you that kind of idea, you said it with all authority now, that a lot of people, a lot of Nigerians, so it means you know about them or they have expressed such.
Oh, they have expressed it, they openly have expressed it.
So therefore, I can use that in a general term that you people with that same sentiment, wrong perspective of issue, you are just, in fact, it's you who have dropped the ball. Because don't forget, you are, I wouldn't even say, let me not say I will drop that. Not that you dropped the ball, but that you are not.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being. Thank you very much for being that kind. Because it will be difficult for me to push you as I could ordinarily.
You are not savvy. You are not politically savvy enough.
And that's why I'm not a politician like you. That's why I'm just.
I'm not a politician. I'm a technocrat in public life. I have never been a politician. I'm not a professional politician. I don't earn my keep from politics. I'm a technocrat, professional, but in public life. That's it. I'm a consultant. For the past 15 years, I have not held a single public office, whether ministerial, whatever agency or not a single one. Go and check it out. However, let me please answer the question.
Okay.
Now, but because you people are not politically savvy, you do not understand the dynamics of political negotiation, political nuances, political arrangements and operation. Now, if there are certain issues, operations that are not given to the public, if the information is on the need to know basis, if you are going to have a very private, secret negotiation with your opponent or with another party, you are not going to shout it to the rooftops because it can be abridged, it can be aborted by your enemies. So you have to be astute with information management. But you see, the unsuspecting public, the unwary public that doesn't know these things will assume, why did they, just like you have said that, why did the communication team not tell us that this was what happened? No! Don't forget that even till very late, it was not, even after the issue became public, it did not become public from the side of Asiwaju, because that's not how to manage information. It had to come from the people who initiated the meeting.
I was actually going to ask you. I was actually going to ask you why did they not release the pictures of Wike's meeting?
Let the public know that this was what was happening was deliberate communication strategy. It was not dropping the ball. And let me tell you, when you are in this game, you don't pander to the whims of the unsuspecting public at all times. You have to know and identify your objective and channel your methodology of achieving that objective and keep your eye on the ball.
On the ball.
You don't begin to look at, the public will like this. If the public will like that, and that is not expedient for your objective at that moment, you don't do it.
How would you, as the strategic communications expert in the communications triumvirate of the Tinubu Shettima presidential campaign, because as it is now, you are the director of strategic communications. Another mentor of mine, a senior colleague, profoundly intellectually robust person, Gbola Oba, is also named to be at the same level with you. The honorable Minister of State Labor is also named as a top communications or person in the Tinubu Shettima. How can the public? How do you guys work together? Because can egos clash? Can just give us a feel of how that team.
Honestly, Bola, look, all of this.
You've told the public now. You've told the public that you've long mentored me, and you know me beyond the facade, Abi. Hello, Egbo.
It's not relevant to the public. Those are very irrelevant issues to this.
But I'm supposed to ask you questions.
Let me tell you why they are not relevant to the public. Okay. Number one, this is the campaign organization of the candidate of a ticket, ticket. Now, it is not the public's campaign organization. So it is not the business of the public how that organization is structured. As long as it's delivering on its mandate, performing its role. And they don't forget that this is the first time you're actually having this kind of structure in a presidential campaign organization. It's always been one person.
Oh, yes. That's actually why I'm asking, because when a phenomenon.
That's why I'm saying it's not the business of the public. It has nothing to do with the business of the public at all. That in fact, if you had asked me in private as a professional to give you the rationale, I will, but I will still give it to you now because you've asked it publicly for the sake of professionals and consultants and for the sake of the future. Now, it is also because Tinubu, as a person, has recorded many firsts in every area of public governance, in every area of human endeavor. He has played so many trails. He has created so many initiatives. This is not simply one of such initiatives of being a step ahead of the pack.
Okay, it does seem.
Rather than having one person, with a gargantuan job or responsibility of the communication, and don't forget, you should know more than anybody else that communication is a wide area. It has so many other compartments or departments. So why not have
especially with the ascendancy of online digital communication, online communication.
Exactly.
But I still have to ask you, one is still duty bound because hello.
Yeah.
Because there are students of communication out there, and apart from just interviewing you because it's the political season, this also can be a seminal session for those youngsters. They will learn, and they are learning. Even myself, I'm learning. The public will learn. So don't get a bit too emotional. It's an opportunity for pedagogy of a sort.
Look. When you told me you were coming to, I should come on for I shared this and bishop, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, fine, then you go on it and all that. It was, and don't forget I've been having interviews. I've had one today, which I told you already. I had one yesterday. I had in the last 1 week, almost on a daily basis. And in the business at hand is that of the campaign, the election, the policies, program, projects, why this candidate is better than this, or why this one seems to be the best, or why do you think this one? These are the salient issues of relevance to the public right now. If we want to have a seminar,
that's a witty intellectual bounce. That's a witty intellectual bounce to the direction we want me. I will go there. Don't worry, Egbon. Don't worry. But I can see that.
Don't forget that you have
I can see that as the master in the game, Gbola is getting a bit too naughty and going in the directions of you. But let's go there. Let's go in the policy direction as we.
Go the direction you want to go.
Let's go there. I'm listening to you now. If I were to be, say, somebody who is below 35, and I'm thinking that was how we hoped that much that the Buhari presidency was going to be positively impactful to my life, but I am where I am now, graduated, not much doing, struggling to make ends meet. What difference can a Tinubu Shettima presidency do to my life?
A lot, because that's why I said any reasonable, critically minded or critical minded individual, whether student, whether youth, whether adult, will subject all the candidates to critical, analytical tests. And one of which is, what are their antecedents before being in public office? What did they do to impact on the lives of members of the public, or to impact on their environment which they ruled over? Those are the antecedents, the track record. When you put all of this on the table, I said Tinubu far outstrips them and Shettima. Because, let me go, I first said that we have to establish the basis for even the democracy we are talking about today, that has afforded me and you to be talking freely like this, that has afforded all those other candidates to come out and contest. Tinubu was and remains the only one that fought for this democracy out of all the contestants, out of all the candidates. So, as an issue, he has contributed immensely to the enthronement of this democracy. That's one. When he came into office, he was the very first person, governor in the history of this country, to start the transition council, which today every government now does, including the federal government. He was the one that played the role in 1999. Again, to show his administrative capacity, he restructured the ministry, the civil service. He was the first person in the history of this country to also establish the office of the chief of staff. It never was there. What we had was SSG.
He studied in America. These are all American public governance studies.
In Nigeria.
I said because he studied in America, he was just replicating what he had been exposed to in America. Nothing spectacular about that.
Bola Ahmed, listen to yourself. Was he the first person that studied in America? Why didn't all the others that studied in America before him also come up with that idea? Come on. Let's borrow ourselves some objectivity here. Was he the first person to study in America? No. But he was the first person that had the good sense to introduce it in Nigeria. And why did other governments copy, including the federal? If they found it objectionable, if they didn't find it expedient and efficient for administration. So he blessed that trade. That's number 2. He restructured the civil service. He was the first person to create the Ministry of Budget and Planning. Budget and planning was always in the finance ministry as a department. He was the first to carry it out because he said the importance and significance of budgeting cannot be underemphasized. I mustn't, because all spending of government is anchored, must be budgeted for monitoring, for evaluation. So not that you just be spending anyhow without coordination and auditing. So we carved out the Ministry of Budget. That's how Dele Alake became the first commissioner for budget. He was the first to establish the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, which other states have copied, to cater for our women and to alleviate poverty. Other states have copied. He was the first to carve out the Ministry of Rural Development. Rural development before him was always under the Ministry of Agriculture. And he said rural development is very, very significant to stem the tide of rural-urban migration. He placed that tree as well. And he was the first to establish the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure in Lagos, because Lagos is the riverine. All of these things, he plays the tree. That's small.
Because Lagos is littoral, you mean? It's a littoral state.
It's the same thing, littoral, but in the general sense for people to understand, is riverine.
Okay.
That's the meaning of littoral. Now, for his financial wizardry, there is no candidate that is on the block today that has demonstrated financial wizardry and wealth creation as much as he has. And if you are not giving the Nigerian state, imagine how you will create wealth which will lead to production, infrastructure, manufacturing, industry, employment on a large scale to benefit our youth. He raised the internally generated revenue of Lagos, which is net at 600 million a month. By the time he was going, he put enduring structures in place. It had jumped to almost 8 billion.
How would you respond? How would you respond?
Let me finish. By today, that enduring structure that is still existing has quadrupled, in fact, more than that. The IGR is now is at least about 50 billion a month, and has raised the state of Lagos from a mere state to one of the largest economies in Africa, larger than so many African countries put together. That is the national wizardry and wealth creation that nobody that is.
How would you respond? How would you respond? How would you respond to the cynics who say?
I have not finished with this first. Please let me finish with this first. You come on with your own. Now, that's on the IGR. All of these parts are incontrovertible. Whether you hate him or
it's not about being controvertible. It's just that
there is betrayal in the country today, which everybody is copying, every state and the federal government, and that is the bond market today. That every state government and the federal government are going to get money for infrastructural development. It was Bola Tinubu that blazed the trail.
I am still the hypothetical young person below the age of 35 thinking all the information that this gentleman is reeling out, I don't quite see how it's positively going to impact me, even if he reenacts it, if he becomes the president of Nigeria.
I'm afraid if anybody thinks like that,
Then what about give me policies? What about give me policies?
That kind of thought process, it's marks of lack of understanding of the processes of government and how government impact on lives. If you do not create wealth, how are you going to service or deliver service to the people? Is there a free lunch? There's no free lunch. If government says, I want to start this road, it will cost money. If I want to build this school, it will cost money. If I want to build this hospital, it will cost money. If I want to do anything for the public, it will cost money. Even the NECO, WAEC and NECO examination fees that governments are paying all over the country, it was Tinubu that blazed the trail in 2000. Now, will you tell me that does not affect?
I really must be wrapping up now because of your force of character and your assertive personality. You have seldom. You have seen now that you are happy that you have terrorized me emotionally and otherwise. But in my culture, in the culture that we both share, I must defer to you because I cannot be like the seeming youths of today who will be a bit. But you have not quite allowed a free banter of a sort that would make me to, because it's my job on this task to put emotional pins.
You have been doing that. It's just that by my nature, I speak with conviction because I know the treason of what I'm saying. I told you before.
Not that I don't know, but I needed to pretend as though I don't know because this is for public consumption. And thank you. I really have to thank you for the privilege of access. Because let's be honest with ourselves, you've bent over backwards to give us this content. I wish your team well, but this may not be the end of it before the...
if you want me any other time, I'm available.
Thank you very
much. The time that will be okay for both of us. I will be ready because you have not even allowed me to say 1/10 of all.
I was not going to allow you to do I was not going to allow you to do a monologue of a campaign. You will be diminishing my journalistic this thing. Have a lovely rest of the time there. Thank you.
Okay, my brother. Thank you.
This, once again, is Law 103.9 FM and Power Corridor for today, Wednesday, 31st day of August 2022 is getting to the wrap. My producer, as usual, is Wairi Ofigo. And until Friday, 5 p.m., signing out, Corporal Gbola Oba.